Of great interest to criminologists is the relationship between various demographic characteristics such as age, gender, race, ethnicity, regional differences, and crime. Age is one of the most significant demographic factors associated with crime. Canadians aged 12 to 17 years are covered under the Youth Criminal Justice Act, enacted in 2003. Gender is another issue, as Canadian males are by far more likely than Canadian females to commit criminal offenses, regardless of the type of offense. Males and females experience roughly the same rates of being victims of violence against them, however. But there are significant differences in gender with respect to who commits violent crimes against women and the outcomes of that violence. Several demographic factors stand out as important for understanding violence against Aboriginal women. Aboriginal females are younger and more likely to be unmarried and to experience unemployment compared to non-Aboriginal females. Overall, researchers have found that Aboriginal women are 2.5 times more likely to be victims than non-Aboriginal women and are more likely to sustain more injury when assaulted and are more likely to fear for their lives as a result of spousal violence. The issue of murdered and missing Aboriginal women has been identified as a pressing issue at both national and international levels. Amnesty International, for example, has labeled it a national human rights crisis. Even a cursory glance at the distribution of police-reported crime rates across Canada reveals obvious regional differences. In 2011, for example, Manitoba reported the highest rate of homicide and of robbery among all provinces for the 5th consecutive year, while Prince Edward Island and Newfoundland and Labrador reported the lowest rates. In addition, the severity of police-reported crime is not uniform across Canada. Western provinces reported both higher crime rates and higher crime severity compared to eastern provinces. In 2011, Saskatchewan achieved the highest and Ontario the lowest crime severity index amongst the provinces. The Northwest Territories, Nunavut, had CSIs between 6 and 7 times that of Ontario. And finally, overrepresentation is a term used by Canadian researchers and commissioners of inquiry to characterize situations in which members of a particular group, defined by class, ethnicity, gender, and so on, are disproportionately implicated in a particular crime or in crime generally. While Aboriginal people in general are overrepresented among offenders admitted or remanded to provincial or territorial or federal custody, the problem of overrepresentation is even greater amongst Aboriginal women. As with crime rates in general, however, there is considerable variation in Aboriginal incarceration across provinces and territories, a variation that has been relatively stable over the past decade.